Hello dear algorithms traders, let's imagine someone has €1,000 and invests the 25 years. With an average interest rate of 3%, that would be €2,100. With a clever leverage strategy, you can also make €7,100 out of it, which is an incredible return of 8.2%. And all of this despite the fact that we are using the same investment, which effectively only earns us 3% interest. As a lever, we use a balcony power plant that many people can use. Likewise, today we will talk about the topic of energy, electricity and gas, what we can expect and how we can protect ourselves from high costs. Despite the increase in households, energy consumption has been significantly reduced over the past 30 years. But in view of the increased electricity prices, this does not help the individual citizen. The avalanche of costs in the energy sector continues to roll towards us. On average, one person consumes 2,000 kilowatt-hours, a two-person household 3,200 kilowatt-hours and a multi-family household almost 5,000 kilowatt-hours of electricity per year. A year ago, electricity costs for one person were €660, two people paid an average of €980 and a multi-family household €1,400. Within a year, electricity costs have increased by an average of 60%. From October, we have to reckon with further price increases. Gas was also very cheap in the past and households paid between €500 and €1,000 a year. These costs have now quadrupled and now comes the hammer. The federal government has decided that from October 2022 gas prices will increase again by between 1.5 and 5 cents. This gas surcharge will be introduced so that the gas suppliers can continue to work and do not go bankrupt. In the realm of the market economy, actually an absurdity. This means that gas prices will fivefold compared to a year ago. The gas levy is initially planned for the end of March 2024, but that's not all. In addition, gas suppliers continue to increase their gas prices. Many citizens are wondering why we need a gas levy at all. With petrol, electricity and gas, our costs have already doubled within a year. And will even triple from October, which means that the 1 to 2 person household will then have €400 more burden every month. And that doesn't include the price increases for food, drinks, tobacco, cosmetics, and many other things. How are people supposed to finance this? I'm still doing well there myself, because we use 20 kilowatt-hours of electricity per square meter of living space, and at 26 cents we will still have low prices for the next year and a half. We use 60 kilowatt-hours of gas per square meter of living space, and the price of 6.9 cents is cheap, but it will be doubled by the gas levy. Of course we can't complain with €1 additional costs per square meter. The real estate transfer tax and waste disposal fees are of course not included here. Here you can see our energy breakdown. In this case we are really lucky that the electricity costs have not increased as much as the gas costs. Normally, you could save a lot of money by switching providers in the past, but today the regional gas and electricity providers are sometimes significantly cheaper. So we have to think about how we can save energy in the future. Of course, not only from the point of view of savings, but also from the point of view of environmental protection. Showering is 4 times cheaper than bathing, and the cost of water is anything but cheap. The right washing machine can also save a lot of water and electricity. It doesn't have to be a Miele. Beko is also a good alternative. In the future, too, many will consider whether they should start their washing machine because of a t-shirt. Is it necessary to water the garden every day, and maybe you can also save water and electricity with the dishwasher? Economy showerheads can save up to 10% water, and even going to the toilet uses 10 liters of water each time. These are always just small things, but they add up to a high bill in the end. After the gas flows from Russia were massively reduced, we are now experiencing a massive increase in gas prices. Heating with electricity, oil, or gas alone has become enormously more expensive. Let's take a look at the two-person household. 4 years ago, the costs were manageable and heating with infrared was even 15% cheaper. These costs have now increased massively. Of course, you can save about 6% of the costs by reducing the temperature by 1 degree, but this is not so easy with a small child or an elderly person. In the area of infrared, you could even reach the price level that we had 4 years ago through savings. In the oil and gas sector, however, we are still a long way from achieving this, despite savings. Nevertheless, it could be worthwhile for some households to transfer part of their heating output to infrared heating. They're not that expensive. But there are other ways to save. You can already save a lot of money with smart sensors that can be controlled via cell phone. The correct heating setting also brings a few euros into the wallet, and many forget to turn off their heating in summer. If it is necessary to fully heat all rooms and if the doors and windows are properly insulated, that alone can cost a lot of money. You can also save a lot of money in the area of electricity. Switching to LED lights brings a few kilowatt-hour per year. If the LEDs from Germany are too expensive for you, you can also buy them up to 10 times cheaper in China. A small thing that is extremely important is a boiler that uses a lot of electricity every day. Such a boiler quickly costs €30 electricity per month. Motion switches that automatically switch off the light are interesting for certain rooms. Such a refrigerator uses 50% less electricity than the small refrigerators that we know from the past. I also recommend heat pump dryers because they save up to 60% electricity compared to a condenser dryer. Many people do not even know how much electricity some devices consume in standby mode. These power guzzlers can be easily identified with a consumption meter. This is easier with a digital meter, but many households still use the old meters. Using the flywheel, which rotates 75 times for 1 kilowatt-hour, you can also quickly identify small electricity consumers using the rule of 3. As a trader, I really like working with the tick chart, but I would have to leave my PC running 24 hours a day or set up a special server. This results in €60 electricity costs per month plus the respective wear and tear on the computer. A Linux server, on the other hand, only costs €10 a month, which means electricity savings of €50. My screens alone develop such heat that you can almost do without the heating in winter. Most of you have probably heard of the balcony power plant. This is a mini solar system for the production of own electricity. Every citizen may use this type of electricity production if it is technically possible. First of all, you need a solar pendulum. The models from LG are among the best, but they cost around €400 including shipping and are currently not available on the market. A top alternative are the top modules from Trina Solar, which achieve absolute top values. They are about the size of a 75-inch screen and weigh 20 kilos. Make sure that the cells are monocrystalline, as they absorb the sun more effectively. There is a 25-year performance guarantee on the modules. You can get these 400-watt modules for around €200 each via eBay classifieds. Then an inverter is missing. What do you need it for? Now, the solar panels produce direct current, which is converted into alternating current by the inverter. In addition, the inverter produces a slightly higher voltage than prevails in our grid, so that the electricity can be fed into our grid via a socket and is therefore consumed first. I myself work with the Bosswork microinverter because it meets the best criteria for me. Normally I would have opted for the lower 600-watt inverter, but since the waiting times are too long, I ordered 2 inverters with 300 watts each. What was decisive for me was the low starting voltage from 20 volts and the input power of up to 400 watts. Automatic Wi-Fi communication is also integrated. All important information can be queried via a mobile phone or PC using a free app. If you work with a different inverter, you can also use a special plug to analyze all values via the Fritz box. 2 solar modules cost around €400, inverters €330, fastening parts €100 and others around €70. The cost is around €1,000. You can also do this for €700, but with a significantly poorer quality. We see the power generation over the course of the year, which of course depends on many different factors. 70% of the electricity is produced in the summer months and 30% in the winter months, which is also not negligible. If you work with a 300-watt solar module, it should be clear to everyone that there is a loss of performance. A total of only 225 watts may then arrive in the power grid. That's why I recommend working with a 400-watt panel so that the optimal power output of 300 watts can be achieved. This pays off, especially in the winter months. Installation is very simple. Solar panel into the inverter and the inverter into the socket. It is irrelevant whether you work with 2 inverters or just one. My personal structure looks like this, but in principle the same values are achieved. You can find specific information about a balcony power plant on YouTube. You have to analyze whether 1 or 2 panels are worthwhile for you based on your daily power consumption. Just think about the electricity produced that you don't use, you automatically donate it to your electricity provider. A one-person household consumes an average of 2,000 kilowatt-hours of electricity per year. Depending on the electricity price, this is between €500 and €900. In the best case, an 800-watt solar system can produce up to 700 kilowatt-hours per year. That would be a saving of around 35%, 20% for a 2-person household and around 15% for 3 to 5 people. The 2-person household thus saves between €175 and €315 per year. Let's go back to our investment of €1,000 that achieves €2,100 in 25 years with a 3% return. Now we invest the €1,000 in a balcony power plant. However, we invest 3% of the saved electricity costs every year. Let's now assume that we save €200. In the first year, the plant produces electricity. At the beginning of the second year we can invest the first €200. We get 3% interest on that. After 10 years we have already reached €2,100. That is as much as our solar system would achieve in 25 years. But there's more to come out. In year 25 we reached €7,100 through leverage. Interestingly, that's an effective yield of 8.2%. Taxes were not taken into account here in either case. But now we are greedy and want more than 3%. How about 6% return? The average 25-year return on the DAX is 9%. The worst period was 5.4% and the best period was 13.5%, from 1986 to 2011. If you had waited another year, the yield would have increased to 6.3% and another year later to 6.9%. A capital of €10,772 could now develop from this. This leverage results in a return of 10%, even though we have only invested our capital for 6%. If the module is defective after 12 years, we simply buy a new module for €1,000 and still have an advantage of €9,700. The system has already paid for itself after 5 years, and within 25 years it will bring us around 17,500 kilowatt-hours of electricity in the best case. That would correspond to an effective electricity price of 5.7 cents. This house has solar panels on both sides and is therefore able to generate electricity independently for 10 cents per kilowatt-hour for all 32 households. It doesn't matter whether there is corona or war, as long as the sun is shining, of course. Of course, these are only example calculations and always depend on the respective situation. Nevertheless, it is important to deal with the topic today in order to limit the extreme increase in costs in the field of energy. Why do citizens have to pay 50 cents per kilowatt-hour when the electricity can be produced with batteries for 10 cents per kilowatt-hour? Perhaps it is time for energy suppliers and oil companies to limit their profits if they use such crisis situations to their advantage. Of course, the reduction in cheap gas from Russia will initially hurt us, but in the future we will produce our energy more cheaply than ever and at the same time make ourselves independent. It's going to be a tough few years at first, but the upswing that follows will make up for everything. I wish you a great weekend and look forward to seeing you here again soon. Best regards, Michael.